The brittle pages seemed to exhale centuries of dust as Dr. Aris Thorne adjusted the halogen lamp. For 20 years, the Voynich Manuscript had been his sphinx, its bizarre script and unsettling botanical illustrations whispering riddles in an unknown tongue. Sleep became a memory. Sanity, a fraying thread. Then, it happened. Not with a fanfare, but a whisper in his exhausted mind. Late one night, staring at a sequence of glyphs beside a drawing of a wilting, star-shaped flower, a fragment of old Occitan poetry surfaced from his studies. The connection sparked, igniting a chain reaction. He saw it now, not a cipher, but a forgotten vernacular, a secret language of medieval herbalists intertwined with astrological codes, deliberately obscured. His hands trembled as he applied the key. The dense, looping script began to unravel. It wasn't merely a pharmacopoeia. Nestled within descriptions of impossible plants and celestial charts lay something far older, far darker, a prophecy. A single, deciphered passage chilled him to the marrow. When the silent key turns in the lock of forgotten stars, the sleeper beneath the roots stirs. The veil thins where the twin rivers bleed into sand. Heed the herald of scorched wings. The words resonated with terrifying authenticity. The twin rivers matched a remote confluence on ancient maps. The sleeper beneath the roots echoed Forbidden's alchemical texts. This wasn't fantasy. It felt like uncovering a buried warning. Thorne hadn't just solved history's greatest linguistic puzzle. He'd unearthed a countdown. The manuscript wasn't a curiosity. It was a sentinel's cry across centuries. The breakthrough wasn't triumph, but the terrifying weight of revelation. The world remained oblivious, while Aris Thorne stared into the abyss, holding the silent key, wondering what ancient horror his diligence had just awakened. The true mystery, it seemed, was only beginning. The amber glow of the library lamp pooled over the vellum, illuminating the Voynich Manuscript's alien script and unsettling flora. Dr. Alar Vance traced a finger over the looping, unreadable characters, the weight of 6 centuries pressing down. For decades, it had been history's most exquisite taunt, beautiful, intricate, utterly silent. Then, the key turned. It wasn't a single eureka moment, but a slow, chilling coalescence. Years of cross-referencing obscure medieval pharmacopoeias, star charts, and fragmented alchemical treatises finally yielded a pattern. Alara realized the manuscript wasn't just encrypted. It was a palimpsest of meaning, layers of knowledge deliberately obscured within a unique, hybrid vernacular used by a hidden network of natural philosophers. The bizarre plants weren't fantastical, but real species rendered through the lens of symbolic alchemy, their properties indicating celestial alignments and temporal markers. The astrological charts weren't mere decoration. They were precise, referencing specific, long-forgotten celestial events. Unlocking the mystery revealed the ancient secrets. This wasn't a simple herbal or an astronomer's notebook. It was a meticulously coded chronicle of celestial terrestrial resonance. The text described the potent energies believed to flow when specific rare plants bloomed under precise, recurring cosmic configurations, events occurring only once every few centuries. These convergences, the manuscript claimed, were moments of heightened vulnerability and power within the fabric of the world itself. Alara's blood ran cold as she deciphered a passage beside an illustration of a withered root system grasping at a distorted star. When the serpent's eye aligns with the fallen crown, and the heart leaf bleeds beneath the haunter's gaze, the veil sighs, the earth remembers. The deep current stirs, cross-referencing dates derived from the charts with historical records revealed unsettling correlations, periods of inexplicable seismic shifts, bizarre atmospheric phenomena, and localized outbreaks of collective hysteria coincided exactly with these predicted celestial convergences. The deep current wasn't metaphor, it hinted at a fundamental, dormant energy within the planet, susceptible to these rare alignments. The true secret, the core revelation that turned scholarly triumph into dread, was the manuscript's final, fragmented section. It spoke not just of observation, but of intent. It described rituals, complex procedures involving the rare plants harvested at the precise moment of convergence, purportedly capable of harnessing the deep current for protection, for communion, or for something far more profound and dangerous. The text was damaged here, purposefully obscured, but the implication was terrifyingly clear. Someone, centuries ago, understood how to potentially manipulate this fundamental planetary pulse. They'd encoded the knowledge, not for glory, but as a perilous inheritance. Or a warning buried in plain sight. Alara leaned back, the library suddenly cavernous and cold. She hadn't just translated words, she'd unearthed a forgotten understanding of the world's hidden rhythms and the audacious, terrifying ambition to touch them. The Voynich Manuscript's silence was broken, and it whispered of forces that slept within the earth, waiting for the stars to align once more. The mystery was solved, but the true revelation was the ancient, unsettling secret now stirring in the modern world. The air in the Voynich library hung thick with the scent of aged vellum and quiet desperation. Dr. Aris Thorne, his eyes shadowed from years staring at the impenetrable Voynich Manuscript, traced the looping, alien script with a trembling finger. Generations of brilliant minds had shattered against its walls, but Silas hadn't just studied the text. He'd studied its silences, the faint water stains near certain constellations, the microscopic wear patterns on pages depicting peculiar root systems, the almost imperceptible variations in ink density that others dismissed as quill imperfections. The breakthrough wasn't a language, but a lock. He'd long abandoned the search for a single cipher or known tongue. Instead, a chilling hypothesis took root. The manuscript wasn't just written, it was woven. The key, he realized, lay in the synchronicity between illustration and script. His eureka moment came not from a library, but a storm. Watching lightning fork across a bruised sky, its pattern eerily mirrored a marginalia sketch of a jagged plant labeled with dense, clustered glyphs. He recalled the water stains, not accidents, but markers. They consistently fell near specific astrological diagrams and particular botanical drawings. Back under the lamp, heart pounding, Silas applied his method, contextual layered symbology (CLS). He began treating each page as a self-contained unit. First, identify the dominant illustration, say, the strange, spiral-rooted plant. Then, note any proximate celestial charts or zodiac emblems. Crucially, he factored in the physical clues, a stain near Virgo, slight ink erosion around glyphs clustered near a root node. He hypothesized the text wasn't describing the plant literally, but its resonance within a specific cosmic alignment, indicated by the nearby chart. The glyphs themselves, he theorized, represented a hybrid notation system, part phonetic based on a rare, extinct Anatolian dialect substrate he'd painstakingly identified fragments of, part ideographic tying symbols to celestial bodies or elemental forces, and part numerical referencing cyclical time periods derived from the zodiac. Using astronomical software, he correlated the chart near the spiral root plant with historical celestial events. It matched a rare conjunction of Venus and Regulus in 1438 AD, focusing only on the glyph clusters physically linked to that plant image on that specific page. Under that celestial context, he applied his complex transliteration matrix, cross-referencing the suspected Anatolian roots with known alchemical ideograms. Slowly, agonizingly, meaning bled through, root strength the tears of the lion's heart Venus-Regulus conjunction. Essence gathered under the maiden's Psi Virgo position indicated by stain yields the key of unbinding. It wasn't a description. It was an instruction. The key of unbinding wasn't metaphorical. Subsequent pages, decoded using the same CLS method, always tying script to specific image, celestial alignment, and physical page artifact, revealed terrifyingly precise botanical alchemical processes. These processes, the text claimed, when performed during exact celestial windows, could manipulate fundamental forces, softening the veil, stirring the deep slumber. The manuscript was a technical manual for interacting with latent planetary energies, its obscurity a deliberate safeguard. The code wasn't broken. Its intricate, multi-layered lock was finally turned, revealing secrets far older and more perilous than any mere language. Silas hadn't just found words, he'd found the mechanism of a forgotten world. The decoded pages lay spread across Dr. Aris Thorne's oak desk like the open veins of history. The triumphant rush of cracking the Voynich's code had evaporated, replaced by a chilling awe. The manuscript wasn't merely obscure, it was a meticulously constructed facade hiding a terrifying core. The revealed content operated onto devastating levels. On the surface, it did contain elements scholars had long suspected: herbalism and astronomy, astrology. But these were not mere catalogues or observations. They were the camouflage, the necessary components for something far more profound: the bizarre, unearthly plants, real, but incredibly rare species described not for their medicinal properties alone, but for their purported resonance with specific celestial energies during precise, infrequent alignments. The intricate zodiac wheels and star maps weren't decorative. They were countdown timers and targeting systems, pinpointing moments when cosmic forces intersected with terrestrial ley lines at specific geographic coordinates, often marked by ancient, forgotten structures or unique geological formations. Beneath this surface layer, however, lay the true, shattering revelation, a treatise on geocosmic resonance. The decoded text described, in disturbingly precise, almost technical language, how the energy generated during these rare celestial-terrestrial convergences, the deep current or veil SI, could be harnessed and manipulated. It wasn't philosophy or religion, it was presented as applied natural philosophy, a lost science. Specific passages detailed complex rituals involving the cultivation and timed harvesting of the resonant plants under the exact astrological window, the preparation of intricate compounds, not mere medicines, but resonance catalysts using these plants, specific minerals, and water from charged locations. The performance of geometric alignments or sonic frequencies at the precise terrestrial coordinate during the convergence. The intended effects were not mystical abstractions, micro-level manipulation, influencing weather patterns over localized areas, subtly shifting geological pressures, potentially triggering or preventing minor tremors, or even affecting biological growth cycles with unnerving speed. Macro-level animations, the most fragmented, heavily obscured sections hinted at larger possibilities, influencing collective consciousness in a localized area, or creating stable, localized distortions in perceived reality, thinning the veil. The text chillingly referred to these as directed harmonies and controlled unweavings. Thorne cross-referenced the deciphered dates and locations of past convergences with historical records. The correlations were undeniable, yet chillingly plausible: localized, unexplained droughts ending abruptly, sudden, freak geological subsidence swallowing small settlements, documented instances of mass hysteria or inexplicable communal inspiration coinciding exactly with the predicted windows and locations. It wasn't magic, it read like a dangerous, forgotten physics. The manuscript's final, ominous lines, decoded with trembling hands, shifted from instruction to warning. The current answers the prepared hand, but heed, the echo rebounds. To stir the deep slumber is to invite its gaze. The key unlocks not only potential, but consequence. Thorne stared at the intricate botanical drawings, no longer mere curiosities, but blueprints for interacting with the planet's hidden pulse. The Voynich Manuscript hadn't preserved lost herbal knowledge or star lore. It had preserved a dangerous, operational manual for manipulating fundamental planetary energies. Its obscurity wasn't an accident of time, it was a deliberate containment. He hadn't just translated a text, he'd recovered a dormant technology, a set of instructions waiting for someone, anyone, with a key to turn the lock. The knowledge was breathtaking, revolutionary, and potentially catastrophic. The true content wasn't history. It was a loaded weapon aimed squarely at the present. The silence in Dr. Aris Thorne's study wasn't peaceful. It was the thick, expectant hush before a storm. The Voynich Manuscript lay open, its cryptic script and unsettling flora seeming to pulse under the lamplight. For weeks, The meaning of passages had bled through using his layered decryption method, revealing terrifying geocosmic manipulations. But the core question remained: what tongue did these dire instructions originally spring from? Generations had hunted for a known language: Latin, Hebrew, Arabic, even Proto-Romance. All failed. Thorne, however, stopped searching for a pure language. His contextual layered symbology (CLS) method suggested the script itself was a hybrid construct. The breakthrough came from a seemingly insignificant marginalia glyph, a complex, angular symbol resembling a stylized sun pierced by a crescent, repeated near specific celestial events. It didn't match any known alchemical sigil. Haunted, Thorne combed through fragments of extinct Near Eastern dialects. Then, in a crumbling digital archive of Hittite cuneiform economic tablets, he found it, a near-identical symbol representing not a celestial body, but a verb, to resonate or to call forth. This was the Rosetta fragment. It wasn't Hittite, but a linguistic fossil embedded within the text. The linguistic identification was twofold: the substrate, the grammatical skeleton, the core structure underlying the script, wasn't Indo-European or Semitic. It bore startling similarities to a poorly attested, late Anatolian language isolate, possibly a trade pidgin or secret society argot spoken in the 14th–15th centuries AD in regions like Cilicia or Cappadocia. This language was agglutinative, building complex meanings through suffixes, explaining the Voynich's repetitive, flowing script. It was a tongue deliberately chosen for its obscurity. The superstructure. Onto this rare Anatolian substrate, the manuscript's author S had grafted layers of specialized notation. Alchemical ideograms. Specific glyphs represented forces, for example, earth resonance, stellar influx, not words. Celestial reference. Suffixes modified roots to indicate precise astrological timing, for example, all for under Jupiter's aspect, Esh for at the solstice point. Numerical codices. Clusters acted as counters for cyclical celestial periods referenced in the astronomy sections. The language wasn't spoken in any conventional sense. It was Lumina, a constructed, technical vernacular designed solely for encoding the dangerous knowledge of geocosmic resonance. Its obscurity wasn't an accident of time, it was a deliberate lock. Knowing the Anatolian roots allowed Thorne to finally translate core verbs and nouns reliably, confirming the terrifying processes described. Bind the rootessence Anatolian root. Car a plus alchemical ideogram for volatile earth energy. Under the Hunter-S gaze, celestial reference suffix. Nuz during the seventh turning numerical codex. 7 glyph clusters to still the trembling stone effect described. The final, chilling confirmation came from the manuscript's damaged colophon, previously indecipherable. Using Lumina's rules, it resolved, Hand of the Silent Star, in the tongue of resonance, written so the unready eye may see, but not comprehend. Beware the echo. Thorne sat back, the air crackling with implication. He hadn't just identified a language. He'd uncovered the unique, dangerous lexicon of a lost school of natural philosophers who didn't just study the cosmos, but learned to pluck its strings. Lumina was the key that turned the final lock, confirming the manuscript wasn't a cultural relic, but a functional manual written in a tongue designed for secrecy and precision. The words themselves were now undeniable, echoing from a deliberately silenced past with a warning for the present. The silence in the study shattered, replaced by the deafening weight of comprehended peril. The decoded text lay heavy on Dr. Thorne's desk, whispering its dangerous secrets in the constructed tongue of Lumina, but the who and why remained as veiled as the manuscript's illustrations. Then, amidst the chilling instructions for controlled unweavings and stirring the deep slumber, the author's hand revealed itself, not through a name, but through context and consequence. The clues were embedded in the methodology and the warnings. The Anatolian substrate, the rare Anatolian linguistic roots pointed decisively towards 14th or early 15th century Anatolia or Cilicia. This wasn't a lone scholar. The complexity suggested a school or closed sect, operating on the fringes of the crumbling Byzantine Empire or within the fracturing Seljuk principalities, a place where ancient knowledge, esoteric traditions, and diverse languages intermingled under the radar of major powers. The purpose of obscurity, the deliberate construction of Lumina, far exceeding simple encryption, screamed persecution. This knowledge was deemed dangerous, to heretical, for the prevailing religious and political authorities. The authors weren't just hiding secrets, they were hiding themselves. The hand of the silent star, this recurring phrase, decoded from the colophon and scattered warnings, wasn't a signature, but a title or designation. It implied a specific role within the sect, perhaps the custodian of this volatile knowledge, the one entrusted to record it in its impenetrable form. The silent star likely referenced a specific, rarely visible celestial body crucial to their calculations. A body Thorne's astronomical software was now correlating with devastating historical events near ancient Antioch. The nature of the warning, the manuscript's final, desperate passages shifted tone. Beyond technical instructions, they spoke of catastrophic failure. The hand trembles ... The echo consumes. The unbound current scours the unready mind. It describes symptoms, madness, physical dissolution, localized environmental collapse. Cross-referencing obscure monastic chronicles from Cilicia circa 1420 AD, Thorne found chilling accounts. A small respected community of natural philosophers near Tarsus known for advanced botany and astronomy, suddenly consumed by a divine fire within their minds, and the earth groaning beneath their enclave vanishing without trace. The dates aligned perfectly with one of the manuscript's predicted major convergence events. The vellum and ink, advanced spectrometry, requested after the linguistic breakthrough, revealed trace elements in the ink unique to mineral deposits found near the suspected Tarsus region. The vellum, while high quality, showed microscopic patterns inconsistent with frequent handling. It was created, written upon with immense care, and likely hidden almost immediately. The picture coalesced with grim clarity. The Voynich Manuscript was the final testament of a doomed Anatolian sect. They weren't mystics, but radical natural philosophers who discovered the principles of geocosmic resonance. They constructed Lumina to encode their dangerous operational manual, designating their final custodian the hand of the silent star. But during an attempt to wield their most profound technique, perhaps near Tarsus around 1420, they triggered a catastrophic feedback loop, an echo that consumed them and their enclave. The manuscript, shielded by its obscurity and perhaps its physical location, survived as a warning they never lived to deliver broadly. Thorne touched the cold vellum. He wasn't just reading a text. He was holding the scorched fragment of a lost school, their hubris and their horrifying demise encoded alongside their terrifying discoveries. The silent star hadn't just been a celestial marker, it had been their silent executioner. The origin wasn't just a place and time, it was a tombstone, and the authorship a ghostly plea etched in a dead language. Understand what we found, but learn from how we fell. The manuscript's greatest secret wasn't the power it described, but the curse of understanding it. The decoded pages weren't just text, they were a seismic charge detonating beneath centuries of historical understanding. Dr. Aris Thorne sat amidst the fallout, the weight of the Voynich Manuscript's true significance pressing down with physical force. This wasn't merely solving an academic puzzle. It was uncovering a lost chapter of human endeavor and hubris, of staggering consequence. Historically, it rewrote the narrative. The manuscript wasn't the work of a lone, eccentric herbalist or a Renaissance hoax. It was the meticulously encoded legacy of a sophisticated, clandestine school of natural philosophy operating in 14th, 15th century Anatolia. These weren't mystics dabbling in the occult. They were radical empiricists who had stumbled upon principles of geocosmic resonance, a terrifyingly advanced proto-science concerning the interaction of celestial alignments, terrestrial energies, and biological catalysts. Their level of systematic observation, precise astronomical calculation, and experimental ambition, revealed through the Lumina language, shattered the perception of medieval science as purely rudimentary or superstitious. Academically, It was a Rosetta Stone for a lost worldview. The Voynich ceased to be an isolated anomaly. It became the key to understanding a whole school of thought deliberately erased by catastrophe and time. Decoding Lumina provided a unique lexicon and conceptual framework. Suddenly, obscure references in other fragmented alchemical texts, anomalous reports in monastic chronicles like the Tarsus disaster, and even peculiar architectural alignments in certain Near Eastern ruins took on potential new meaning. It offered a context for phenomena previously dismissed as myth or madness. Scholars of history, linguistics, the history of science, botany, and even geology now faced a paradigm shift, forced to re-examine the period through the lens of this recovered, dangerous knowledge. But the most profound significance lay in its cautionary power. The manuscript was no mere curiosity, it was a tombstone and a warning. It documented not just discovery, but catastrophic failure. The fate of the Hand of the Silent Star and their enclave wasn't legend. It was the documented consequence of overreaching, a terrifying case study in the unintended repercussions of manipulating forces far beyond human control. The meticulous encoding wasn't just for secrecy. It was a containment strategy born of horrific first-hand experience. Understanding the Voynich meant finally hearing the whispers from that Anatolian mass grave. It proved that centuries ago, a group of brilliant minds touched something profound and perilous hidden within the fabric of the world, and were consumed by it. Their legacy wasn't just the knowledge of how to potentially influence these forces, but the irrefutable evidence of why it should never be attempted lightly, if at all. Thorne realized the manuscript's true value wasn't in the power it described, but in the historical lesson it screamed across the ages. Its survival was a grim miracle. To finally comprehend it was to inherit not just academic enlightenment, but a profound and terrifying responsibility, to ensure the doom of Tarsus wasn't merely a footnote in a decoded text, but a stark, eternal warning etched into the conscience of science. The Voynich Manuscript, at last understood, was perhaps humanity's greatest discovery. And its gravest warning, the silence surrounding it hadn't been empty. It had been the quiet before an echo that could still shatter the world. The lamplight bled onto the final decoded page. Dr. Aris Thorne's earlier elation had curdled into cold dread. He possessed the key, Lumina, the constructed tongue, and the terrifying geocosmic manual lay bare. But was it real, or a centuries-old delusion? The validation wasn't shouted, it whispered with chilling coherence. First, the astronomical precision. The manuscript pinpointed a rare celestial event, the alignment of Venus, Regulus, and a specific, obscure star dubbed the Silent Star, over Tarsus in early 1420 AD. Modern astrophysical software confirmed it, exactly as it described, visible only from that specific Anatolian region. This wasn't guesswork, it was observation recorded by someone there. Second, the correlated catastrophe. The decoded text described a catastrophic echo, a resonant backlash, occurring during that alignment, causing mind fire and earth swallowing. Cross-referencing yielded a single, obscure record from a Franciscan monastery near Tarsus. In the year of our Lord 1420, a great affliction fell upon the wise men beyond the river. The ground groaned, and a madness like consuming fire took them, leaving only silence. The date, location, and described effects matched the manuscript's predicted consequence of a failed ritual. Third, the internal consistency. The complex Lumina language, once cracked, revealed not poetry or fantasy, but a stark, technical manual. The processes described, the harvesting of specific resonant plants under exact stars, the preparation of catalysts, the geometric alignments, possessed a horrifying internal logic. The warnings about the echo weren't mystical threats. They read like safety protocols written by engineers who had witnessed system failure. Finally, the forensic trace analysis Thorne commissioned on the ink revealed trace minerals unique to the Tarsus region, corroborating the Anatolian origin derived from the linguistic substrate. The vellum showed no signs of later tampering. This was the original, desperate document, the pieces locked together with the terrible precision of a vault mechanism. the obscure star alignment confirmed, the historical disaster matching the described consequence, the unique language and its technical coherence, the physical evidence placing it at the epicenter. There was no room for hoax, no space for coincidence. The validation was absolute. The Voynich Manuscript wasn't a riddle. It was a verified incident report from the edge of a lost science. Thorne stared at the warning scrawled in Lumina. The echo rebounds. The key unlocks consequence. He hadn't just deciphered words, he'd validated a catastrophe. The secrets weren't merely revealed, their terrible truth was now an undeniable, chilling fact echoing from the annals of a forgotten disaster. The manuscript's silence was broken, replaced by the deafening roar of confirmed, ancient peril. The true horror wasn't the secret anymore. It was known, beyond doubt, that it was real. He held validated doom.